The words hit me like ice water. When the old man finally kicks it, everything's mine anyway. My son-in-law Trevor leaned back in my own kitchen chair, feet propped on my table, grinning at his mother like he'd just won the lottery. I stood frozen in the doorway, grocery bags cutting into my palms. My daughter Emma sat beside him, eyes down, picking at her fingernails. The casual cruelty of it stunned me more than the claim itself. I'd worked 43 years to build this home, this life. And here was Trevor, barely 30, talking about my death like it was a weekend sale. His mother Diane laughed, that sharp bark she called humor. "Smart boy," she said. "He knows how family works." I set the bags down slowly, forcing my hands not to shake. Neither of them flinched. They'd wanted me to hear. That night I pulled out the lockbox from my closet. My fingers trembled as I sorted through deeds, titles, account statements. Everything legal, everything mine. Emma's name appeared nowhere, not because I didn't love her, but because I'd planned to handle it properly through my will. I'd told her that years ago. She'd understood, or so I thought. Now I realized Trevor must have filled her head with promises, with expectations. The clock read 2:47 a.m. when I finally closed the box. My chest felt tight, but my mind was clearing. Trevor's confidence bothered me most. He spoke like he'd already confirmed something, like he knew details he shouldn't. I needed answers before making any moves. Tomorrow I'd call my lawyer, someone Trevor had never met. Diane showed up 3 days later without warning. She swept past me into my living room like she owned it, settling onto my couch with her oversized purse. "We need to discuss Trevor's future," she announced, "not Emma's future, Trevor's." I stayed standing. "My assets aren't your concern, Diane." Her smile didn't reach her eyes. "They are when my son's married into this family. Emma deserves security." The way she said deserves felt like a threat. She pulled papers from her purse, sliding them across my coffee table. "Just preliminary planning documents, nothing binding. Sign these and we'll handle everything properly when the time comes." I didn't touch them. Through the kitchen doorway I could see Emma washing dishes, shoulders tense. "Get out," I said quietly. Diane's face hardened. "You'll regret this stubbornness." My lawyer Vincent studied me over his desk. "There's a clause in your current will that might interest you." He slid a document across. "Section 7, subsection C, you included a conditional inheritance provision 5 years ago." I'd forgotten. The clause stated that any beneficiary attempting to claim assets before my death or through fraudulent means would be immediately disqualified. Vincent tapped the page. "This protects you completely. If Trevor's been making claims or forging documents, he's already invalidated any potential inheritance." Relief flooded through me, but Vincent's expression stayed serious. "However, we need to document everything. Every conversation, every threat, build a case." I agreed. "There's one more thing," he added. "I want to arrange a formal reading with a notary present, public, official, unquestionable." I nodded slowly. "When?" "Soon, but first, let's see what Trevor does next." The call came from my bank on Tuesday morning. "Mr. Patterson, we're calling about the transfer request on your joint account." My blood went cold. "What transfer?" The banker hesitated. "Your son-in-law attempted to move $47,000 to an external account. He claimed you'd authorized it verbally." I gripped the phone. "I authorized nothing. Block it immediately." After hanging up, I drove straight to Trevor's apartment. He answered the door in a bathrobe, surprised but not worried. "Looking for something?" I asked. His smile was razor-thin. "Just handling some family finances. Emma mentioned you'd approve." "Emma wouldn't say that. Wouldn't she?" He leaned against the doorframe. "Things change, people get older, need help managing things." I stepped closer. "Touch my accounts again and I'll press charges." For the first time, something flickered in his eyes, not fear exactly, but calculation. "Careful," he said softly. "You don't want to upset Emma." I met my brother Thomas at the diner downtown. We'd always been close and I needed someone I could trust completely. Over coffee, I explained everything: Trevor's claims, Diane's pressure, the attempted transfer. Thomas listened, face darkening. "I never liked that kid," he muttered. Then he straightened. "Wait, remember last month when you asked me to grab those files from your office?" I nodded. "Trevor was there, said he was helping Emma clean. I thought it was odd, but I didn't question it." My stomach dropped. "What files?" Thomas pulled out his phone, scrolling through photos. I took pictures of your desk before I left, habit from my security days. He showed me. Several documents lay spread across my desk, estate papers, account summaries. Trevor had been photographing them. He's been planning this, Thomas said grimly, building a case like he already owns everything. Emma's birthday fell on Saturday. The family gathered at my house, awkward but present. Trevor held court in my living room, telling stories about our future plans for the property. He spoke like I wasn't sitting 10 feet away. Other relatives glanced at me uncomfortably. I said nothing, just watched. My silence seemed to unsettle him more than any argument could. At one point, Emma approached me in the kitchen. "Dad, why are you being so quiet?" I looked at my daughter, really looked at her. She seemed tired, worried. "Just listening," I said gently. "Sometimes you learn more that way." She opened her mouth, closed it, then whispered, "Trevor says you're trying to cut me out." "Emma," I took her hand, "I would never." Her eyes filled with tears. "Then why won't you just tell us what's in the will? Because Trevor shouldn't need to know." Understanding flickered across her face before Trevor called her name from the other room. I spent the next week digging through everything. Bank statements, property records, every legal document I'd ever signed. In a folder marked Estate Planning 2019, I found it. A notarized will, properly witnessed, clearly stating my wishes. Emma was the primary beneficiary, not Trevor, never Trevor. The will included specific language preventing any spouse from claiming rights independently. My lawyer had insisted on it after hearing about Trevor's controlling behavior early in their marriage. I'd forgotten how thorough we'd been. But more importantly, I found notes in Diane's handwriting tucked between pages. She'd been in my office. The dates matched Thomas's photos. They'd been searching for leverage, for something to twist. Instead, they'd probably found the opposite. Now I understood Trevor's confidence. He didn't actually know what the will said. He was gambling, bluffing, and I was about to call that bluff. Trevor struck at Sunday dinner. He pulled out a folder, slapping it on my dining table with theatrical flair. "Just so everyone knows, I have the legal agreement right here. Dad already signed over primary control." My heart skipped, but I kept my face neutral. Emma gasped. Thomas stood up. "Show it," I said calmly. Trevor opened the folder with a magician's flourish. The document looked official, stamps and signatures covering the bottom. I picked it up, studying it carefully. The signature wasn't mine, close, but the capital P in Patterson was wrong. I always looped it. This one was angular. "Where did you get this?" I asked. "Your office. You signed it last year." "I did no such thing." He leaned back, confident. "Doesn't matter what you remember, it's legal." I folded the document carefully and handed it to Thomas. "Give this to Vincent tomorrow. Forgery is a felony." Trevor's smile finally cracked, just slightly, but enough. Emma showed up alone on Tuesday afternoon. She looked exhausted, her usual brightness dimmed. "Dad, can we talk?" We sat on the back porch where I'd pushed her on a swing 25 years ago. "Trevor's been acting strange," she said quietly. "Defensive. He says you're trying to turn me against him." I chose my words carefully. "Emma, has he ever shown you my actual will?" She shook her head. "He says he doesn't need to, that he knows how inheritance works." "What if he's wrong?" She looked at me, really looked. "Then why is he so confident?" "Maybe because he's desperate." I pulled out my phone, showing her the bank transfer attempt. She went pale. "He told me you approved that for our house down payment." "I didn't." Her hand started shaking. "What else hasn't he told me?" I took her hand. "That's what we need to find out together." For the first time in months, my daughter leaned against my shoulder and cried. I scheduled a family meeting for Friday evening. I kept the message simple: important estate discussion. Everyone attend. Trevor's response came immediately. "Finally ready to make it official." I didn't reply. Vincent suggested I record everything. We set up my phone on the bookshelf, angled to capture the whole living room. When Friday arrived, tension filled the house like humidity before a storm. Trevor arrived early, Diane beside him, both dressed like they were attending a business merger. Emma came separately, sitting away from her husband. Thomas stood near the doorway, arms crossed. "Before we begin," I started, "I want to make something clear. Whatever happens tonight, it's legal, official, and final." Trevor smirked. "Good, let's get this done." He had no idea what was coming. I've invited the notary to review all claims and documents. What notary? She'll be here in 10 minutes. Notary Catherine Wells arrived at exactly 7 o'clock. She carried a leather briefcase and wore the expression of someone who'd seen every family drama imaginable. "Good evening, Mr. Patterson." We shook hands. Trevor stood immediately. "This isn't necessary, we already have agreements." Catherine smiled politely. "Then we'll simply verify them. Please, everyone sit." She arranged papers on my coffee table with methodical precision. "I've been provided with several documents. We'll review each one, verify signatures, and establish legal standing." Diane protested. "This is a family matter. Any matter involving estate claims is a legal matter," Catherine replied smoothly. She looked at me. "Mr. Patterson, did you sign any documents granting your son-in-law control over your assets?" "No." "Did you authorize any transfers from your accounts?" "No." She made notes. "Now, does anyone present have documents claiming otherwise?" Trevor's folder appeared. Catherine examined his forged agreement for exactly 12 seconds before setting it aside. "This signature is invalid." Catherine pulled out a document I recognized immediately. My actual will. "This is the legally binding will, notarized on March 14, 2019. She read slowly, clearly. "I, Michael Patterson, being of sound mind, hereby designate my daughter Emma Catherine Patterson as primary beneficiary of all assets, properties, and accounts." Trevor's face lost color. Catherine continued. Section 7, subsection C states, "Any individual who attempts to claim, transfer, or manipulate said assets prior to the testator's death shall be immediately disqualified from any inheritance, direct or indirect." The room went silent. "This includes spouses of beneficiaries acting independently." Emma stared at Trevor. "You knew." Section 7 further states, Catherine added, "that such disqualification is permanent and irrevocable." Trevor's confidence had evaporated completely. Diane started to speak, but Catherine held up one hand. "I'm not finished." She pulled out more papers. "I also have evidence of attempted fraud. The bank records, the forged signature, all documented, all damning." Diane exploded. "This is ridiculous. My son has every right." Catherine's voice cut through like steel. "Your son has no rights to Mr. Patterson's estate. Legal protocols are absolute. You can't just override family arrangements." "There are no family arrangements," Catherine replied. "Only legal documents which your son attempted to forge." She tapped the fake agreement. "This alone constitutes criminal fraud." Diane's face went red. "We'll challenge this. We'll get real lawyers." "I'm a certified notary and legal witness," Catherine said calmly. "This document has been reviewed by the county registrar. It's unimpeachable." I finally spoke. "You came into my home, threatened my daughter, tried to steal from me. Did you really think there would be no consequences?" Trevor's mouth opened and closed. For once, he had nothing to say. My calm authority, backed by legal certainty, had completely dismantled his scheme. Trevor lunged for his folder, frantically pulling out more papers. "Wait, these show I have proof that—" Catherine didn't even look up. "Proof of what, Mr. Hayes?" "That we discussed this, that he agreed." "Did you record these discussions?" Trevor hesitated. "No, but Emma was there." All eyes turned to my daughter. Emma stood slowly, shaking. "Trevor, stop." "Emma, just tell them, stop." Her voice was stronger now. "Dad never agreed to anything. You've been lying to me for months." "Baby, come on. You told me he approved the bank transfer. You told me he wanted you involved in the estate. You told me we'd be secure." Her voice cracked. "You used me." Thomas moved closer to Emma, protective. Trevor looked around the room, desperate, cornered. "This is insane. You're all turning on me over what? Some old man's paranoia." "Watch your mouth," Thomas said quietly. "The recording on my phone captured everything." Vincent stepped through the front door. I'd asked him to arrive late. After Catherine established the facts. "Good evening, everyone." He nodded at Catherine, who handed him a file. "I've been Mr. Patterson's attorney for 17 years, Vincent began. "In that time, we've built a comprehensive estate plan designed to prevent exactly this situation." He opened the file. "I have documented evidence of 3 separate fraud attempts by Trevor Hayes. First, the forged transfer authorization. Second, the falsified estate agreement. Third, attempted intimidation of the primary beneficiary." He placed photos on the table, Trevor in my office, Diane's handwritten notes, bank records. Additionally, recorded threats against Mr. Patterson constitute grounds for a restraining order. Emma gasped. Trevor's face went from pale to gray. This is all circumstantial, Diane stammered. Actually, Vincent replied, it's documented, witnessed, and admissible. Your son is facing potential criminal charges. The walls were closing in. Trevor could feel it, so could everyone else. Trevor made one last desperate play. You don't understand, I was protecting Emma, making sure she'd be taken care of. By stealing from her father, I asked. By securing what's rightfully hers. Emma was always going to inherit, I said quietly. You just couldn't wait. Because you're old, you could change your mind, cut her out. I would never cut out my daughter. I stood facing him directly. But I'll absolutely cut out someone who tried to rob me. Vincent placed another document on the table. Mr. Patterson has also prepared a separate legal statement. Any further contact from Trevor Hayes or Diane Hayes will result in immediate legal action. I looked at Diane. You pushed your son into this. You came into my home with demands and threats. Now face the consequences. For the first time, she had nothing to say. The humiliation settled over both of them like ash. Get out of my house, I said. Neither moved. Now. Trevor stood slowly, face twisted with anger and humiliation. You'll regret this. Is that a threat? Vincent asked immediately. Trevor's mouth snapped shut. Diane grabbed her purse, hands shaking. This isn't over. Yes, Catherine said firmly, it is. They moved toward the door, Trevor shooting venomous looks back at Emma. My daughter wouldn't meet his eyes. At the threshold, Trevor turned. Emma, are you seriously going to let them do this? She looked up finally, tears streaming. You lied to me. You used me, you tried to steal from my father. I was protecting us. No, you were protecting yourself. She stood straighter. I want a divorce. The words hung in the air. Trevor's face crumbled, but Diane pulled him toward the door. Come on, we don't need these people. The door closed behind them. In the silence that followed, Emma collapsed into a chair, sobbing. I knelt beside her, and for the first time in months, she let me hold her. Catherine completed the formal reading, line by line, ensuring every clause was understood. Emma Catherine Patterson is the sole primary beneficiary. No amendments can be made without her knowledge and consent. Emma listened, wiping her eyes. I never wanted it to be like this. I know, sweetheart. I just wanted a normal family. You have one, Thomas said gently. Right here. Catherine packed her briefcase. Mr. Patterson, I'll file these documents with the county tomorrow. Everything will be on official record. She paused at the door. For what it's worth, you handled this with remarkable restraint. After she left, Vincent stayed to discuss next steps. Trevor may try to contest, but he has no legal standing. The evidence of fraud actually strengthens your position. Emma spoke quietly. Will he go to jail? That depends on whether your father presses charges, Vincent said, looking at me. I considered. Not unless he contacts us again. Let him live with the humiliation. That's punishment enough. 3 weeks later, Emma moved back into my house temporarily. She'd filed for divorce, and Trevor had disappeared to his mother's place across town. We sat on the back porch one evening, watching the sunset paint the sky orange and pink. I'm sorry, Dad, she said quietly. You have nothing to apologize for. I should have seen it sooner. I squeezed her hand. Love makes us blind sometimes. What matters is you saw it eventually. She leaned against my shoulder. Thank you for protecting me, even from myself. Always. The house felt peaceful again. The papers were filed, the will was secured, and my daughter was safe. Trevor's scheme had collapsed under the weight of his own greed and my careful preparation. Sometimes justice doesn't roar. Sometimes it just quietly reads the truth aloud and watches the lies crumble. I'd spent 43 years building this life, and I'd be damned if someone like Trevor Hayes would steal even one piece of it. Emma was home. That was all that mattered.